Hi, I'm Bill the Geek, broadcasting not live from Chapala, Mexico, and today we have a real treat for you. In this video, we're going to visit San Nicolas de Ibarra, and it's a very interesting place. Let's take a peek at the map. You can see Chapala at the bottom of the map, and then about 10 miles away from Chapala, actually it's a 10-minute drive, it's probably closer than 10 miles, is San Nicolas de Ibarra. And it's way different than Chapala or Ajijic. The population is 1,500 people. And it's very tranquil. In Spanish, you would say tranquilo. All the people are really happy, and it's really cheap. And I've got to take my hat off to Raul Ibarra. Isn't that funny? His name is Raul Ibarra. Well, his family founded this town with another family called the Reyes family. And we had the pleasure of interviewing a gentleman named Salvador Reyes. He's 88 years old. Salvador lived here, moved to San Francisco area, lived there for 20 years. Then he moved back. Now he lives here. And he shared with us many stories and pictures of the history of San Nicolas, and we thank him very much, he and his daughter. This is a very different kind of video because we've been to Puerto Vallarta, you've seen that video, and if not, subscribe or click the playlist and you can see the Vallarta video. We've walked through Ajijic, we've walked through Chapala, we've walked through Guadalajara, but this is really different because here we have the insight of Raul Ibarra, whose family founded this pueblo, this town. And here, this is a story. It's a story about immigration. About 200 people from San Nicolas moved to the Bay Area, and they've been there for about 50 or 60 years. Raul was telling me his grandfather owns it's an apartment complex in downtown San Francisco, and he's 90 years old. Now he lives in, the apartment complex has 3 units. So Raul's grandfather lives in 1 unit, and he rents out the 2 other units. How much does he rent those units for? $4,000 each a month. Que bueno, okay? But this is a different story because we get to hear about the heart of Mexico, the heart of Mexican people. And it's a 30-minute interview. We're going to be hearing the voice of Raul, and we have shots of San Nicolas that you'll be able to see as he talks. He sent us pictures of his family and him, shots from San Nicolas. And if you listen to the very end, he brings out a shocking analogy of pricing as far as home cost in San Nicolas versus Ajijic versus Chapala. And you have to watch all of his interview to really get the full gist of what's going on. And again, I have to thank Raul, who turned me on to the town of San Nicolas. Raul is a subscriber, and he watches all the videos, and he gives me great input on Mexican life and Mexican culture. And this is a lengthy video, but we didn't want to miss anything. After our interview with Raul, we're going to a gated community. It's called Vista del Lago, and they have a golf course there. So we're going to take you there. We're going to do a drive through. We'll get out and take some videos of a couple of houses. We're going to go to the golf course. So you want to stick around after his interview so you can see this gated community. It's beautiful. Join us live. Join us live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. That's Chicago time. We have quite a group that comes every Saturday, and they share information about living in Mexico, moving to Mexico, cities in Mexico. We have a good time. We usually go for about an hour and 20 minutes. That's live. You have to hit the subscribe button so you get the notification, but we're live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Okay, Raul, where do you live?
I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I originally lived in San Francisco till I was 20 years old. And then I met my wife, who was from Hayward in the East Bay. Mm-hmm. And I moved to the East Bay. And now I presently live in Livermore, California, which is in Alameda County in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we're famous for the Livermore Lawrence Laboratory, the nuclear lab.
Okay. Wow, for some reason I thought you were from San Nicolas.
No, my father is from San Nicolas, and my grandparents are from San Nicolas de Ibarra. And my family on my father's side is all from there.
Okay. So how did they end up moving to San Francisco?
I asked my dad that yesterday because I do know that some of the original people used to go to Santa Maria, which is south of San Francisco, my grandfather being one of them. And I remember he used to come during the Bracero program, which was a program that the United States and Mexico had where workers could come up to the border and then from there proceed with working permits to go work. And he would go work in the fields in Santa Maria and then return home after his work was done. Eventually, I know my great-grandmother bought a home in San Francisco's Mission District on Folsom between 20th and 21st. It was a flat, which I'm not familiar if you know what that is, but it was 3 stories, and she lived on one and rented out the other 2 flats. And also she had a boarding house there. So a lot of people, when they would come from San Nicolas, they would actually stay there at her boarding house and rent from her.
Okay. And this is your great-grandmother or your grandmother?
Yeah, my great-grandmother.
Okay.
That was about in the 1950s.
Okay. And how were your great-grandparents employed?
Well, my great-grandparents are employed because.
Or how were they employed?
My grandmother just was self-employed there at the with her boarding house there in San Francisco.
Okay.
As far as a lot of the family back home, a lot of them had it's an agricultural community, so they made their living in that type of fashion, being cows, growing crops, etc.
Oh, okay. Now, your last name is, and I'm terrible at saying this, but your last name is Ibarra.
Yeah, you're rolling the R's pretty good there, Bill.
And when I was talking to you months ago, I just knew that the name of the pueblo was
San Nicolas de Ibarra.
I didn't know about the de Ibarra part. And I didn't put together your last name with the city name. Now, does that mean that your ancestors started the town?
Yes.
Oh. Oh, that gives me the chills.
Yes. According to San Nico Puro, that's with ICO Puro, Puro on Facebook. He is our village historian, and I was talking to him yesterday, and what he told me was that Ibarras were the ones that founded the town. The second family that came in were the Reyes, and the third family that came in were the Venegas. And he, using the 1906 census, said there was about 15 last names that were in the town then. Now, of course, there's more, but I would have to say it went up to about 15 last names of original last names that founded the town.
Okay. And the population there is like 2,000 or 4,000 people, something like that?
Yeah, the last time I seen it, it was 1,500, so it's probably close to 2,000 now.
Okay, okay. And we spoke for a lengthy time with Salvador Reyes.
Yes.
And are you familiar with him?
No.
No.
But I've heard the name.
Okay.
Now my uncle, my dad's sister, my dad's sister's husband, that would be my dad's brother-in-law. His name is Chato Reyes, and he's from that family, the Reyes family. And my first cousins are Reyes.
Okay. And do you know Carmen?
No.
Okay.
I do know Carmen Reyes, but that's a different Carmen Reyes, which is my first cousin.
Okay.
His daughter.
Because Salvador Reyes, he's 88 years old.
Yes.
And he lived in the Bay Area for 20 years.
Yes.
He has 6 children, from what I understand. And after living there for 20 years, he decided he wanted to come back to St. Nicolas and be there for the rest of his years. And Carmen, his daughter, said that she would stay with him, I think, for 3 months. Then one of her other brothers and sisters would come down and stay for 3 months, like that. But he shared history of the pueblo with us, and he mentioned one of the industries was fishing.
Yes. It's since it's right there on the lake. You notice it hits the carretera, the road. The lake of Chapala is right there. The industries that people make a living off of is fishing, and then the agricultural community of crops, things to do with animals, horses, cows, etc. So there's a lot, and also with the cows, people sell milk and make cheese, and with the crops, it's the corn and all the other things that are attached to those main industries.
Okay. And how many people do you know in the Bay Area that are associated with your family in San Nicolas?
Okay, I would have to say my immediate family that is blood related, that we trace back to my great grandparents. I'm going to say there's probably I'll take a guess of about 200 of us here.
Okay.
As far as people in the United States from San Nicolas de Ibarra, originally from people moved to San Francisco and also, like I said, Santa Maria, but mostly there's still family in Santa Maria. Most of the people lived in San Francisco, and then that was in the late 50s, early 60s, and then people started moving out all over the Bay Area. So now we have people in Palo Alto, in the East Bay, the North Bay, all over the counties of the San Francisco Bay Area. And then people started moving even further. Back in the maybe 80s, one of the families moved to Southern California, Los Angeles. So now their family has grown up there. And quite recently, mostly in the last 5 years, we've had another family move to Texas. Now, some of those offspring that have lived in Los Angeles and Texas, we never really got to know them because before, when we all lived here in the San Francisco Bay Area, we would all get together for weddings, baptismals, and what was very popular in our family was the quinceañeras.
What's that? What's
when the
that?
Girls turn when a young lady turns 15,
mm-hmm.
we would have a big party.
Mm-hmm.
And, all my cousins had quinceañeras, and it seemed like every month somebody had a quinceañera. So it was we would rent a hall, have a maria. We had such a big family. My dad, he was the mariachi, so he would bring the mariachi, and then my cousins had a band named Anaconda, and they would be the band. And then my uncle had a bakery, Ruby Bakery, in Visitation Valley in San Francisco, and they would cook the chicken there. So we had chicken, rice, and beans, and all my aunts would get together and cook that. And then I had two aunts, especially my tia Mara Luisa, my tia Trini, and they would make the dresses for the girls. So it was all in-house family quinceañera, and we would get together every month. So that kept the family together. And it seems more in past years, we were able all to get together because of those reasons. And now how we get together is we have a family group, family committee that myself and about another 6 family members are involved with, and we have a family picnic once a year, maybe for the last 15 years. Of course, the last couple of years we haven't due to the COVID, but we'll do it again next year. And what it's called the Papa Chewy Mama Che family reunion. And now Papa Chewy and Mama Che, that would be my great grandparents.
Okay.
Who were originally from San Francisco, and they had 6 kids, 3 boys, 3 girls, and 2 boys and 2 girls had kids. The 1 boy and 1 girl didn't. The two girls, most of their families moved to the United States. The 2 boys, most of their family still remains in Mexico. As a matter of fact, one of them, from the boys' side of the family that lived in Mexico, they're the ones that have the pharmacy right there in the main road in Chapala. The pharmacy, Farmacia San Nicolas de Ibarra, and that's still part. So we still have family on both sides of the border.
Okay. And the event my wife Teresa, she has 9 brothers and sisters, and I've been to about 4 of those events when the young ladies turn 15. How would you say that in English?
It's almost like a sweet 16 party.
Okay.
Or maybe a Jewish bar mitzvah. It's just a traditional event that when a girl turns 15, she goes from being it's just an event like that.
Okay. And they're like weddings. I feel sorry for the fathers because they have to pay for 2 weddings, right?
Well, exactly. They nowadays they've gotten pretty extravagant. Yesterday I seen one actually. That somebody had in their backyard. So it varies just like a wedding as far as the expense. But like I said, when my family did all my sisters and my cousins, it was all the family getting together and providing the food, the dresses, the entertainment. So cost-wise, it really worked out.
Okay. Now, the gentleman that you introduced us to, his name was Salvador,
Yes.
and I mean, he was with us maybe 2 hours, and he smiled the whole time.
Yeah.
And he was all the people that we met, they were all so happy. But how do you know him? And I didn't pick up his last name.
Well, Salvador El Pompas, he's the comisionario there in San Nicolas, which would be, I believe it's equivalent to the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And I know him because he lives across the street from my dad's house.
Okay. Oh, okay. So now your dad has a house. How does that work out? I mean, he has a house in San Nicolas, but he must have lived in San Francisco for a long time.
Right. My dad originally moved from San Nicolas to San Francisco. I'm going to say when he was about, say, 18 to 20 years old.
Okay.
And he lived there at my grandma Delfina's boarding house initially, and then he met my mom, who was from the East Bay, Oakland, California, and then they got married, and then my mom came to live with my dad in San Francisco, at the time the Mission District, and we lived there till my dad bought a home in the Excelsior District, which is up on Mission. And that's the two places that we lived in the Mission and the Excelsior districts.
Okay. Now, I lived in San Francisco for 5 years. I worked at 250 Montgomery Street, but I lived in Belmont. And this is about 20 years ago, and it was expensive then. So
yes,
and it's really expensive now.
Yes.
But for your family to be there so long ago and to be able to invest in properties in San Francisco,
Yes.
what a
Yes.
blessing! What a blessing!
I have one uncle right now, my uncle Armando Cermeño, and he lives in Potrero Hill, which now I'm going to say he's 90, and he's had that house for, geez, I'm gonna guess here that he probably had that house since he was 30, and now the Chase Center, where the Golden State Warriors play, is very close to his house, and it's worth a lot of money. And the rents there are just he has a home that has two flats. They just redid the whole house, and talking to him one time, he was telling me that he was renting the bottom flat for approximately $4,000 a month. So, and he tells me that he's charging cheap because he likes the people.
$4,000 a month. Wow. So, how often did you return to San Nicolas? Like all of your life, you would go back for like once a year or something like that? How did that work?
Well, my as my my grand my a lot of my aunts and uncles that they migrated to the United States. My grandparents stayed in San Nicolas de Ibarra. So ever since I could remember, when I was attending St. Peter's School in San Francisco's Mission District, my father would send me to my grandfather in Mexico for the whole summer.
Ooh.
So I would spend 3 months with my grandfather. Now I was born in '58. I can recall a lot from '68, which I would have been 10 years old, and I could remember that's when the Mexico had the '68 Olympics, and at the time, I remember what I remember was that it was still very much like you would see something on the TV show Little House on the Prairie. There was very little cars. People got around on horse or walking. There was animals in the streets, even pigs. And the men would have to get up in the morning, get their animals, feed the animals, go work in the fields. And it was before tractors. It was before a lot of machinery, and it was a lot of manual labor. Now, of course, everything has changed. You got tractors and machinery, and I had asked my grandfather one time, why didn't he get a tractor? And he would have been about 68 at the time. He just told me he was already older. He had enough. He would work the fields with his animals. Now I remember him working the fields with his animals at 68 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the United States, when I was working and I would get tired, I would always remember my grandfather and say, if he could work manually those animals at 68, I can surely do what I'm doing here with no problem.
Mm-hmm. And when you say working with the animals, what was it?
He was plowing the fields.
Mm-hmm.
I would walk right. I would walk alongside of him as he was plowing the fields.
Mm-hmm.
At the very beginning, he had ox.
Okay.
And I would walk along, and he would talk to me about life, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he got some beautiful horses, which was like having a Cadillac. There, he had couple of beautiful horses that he had that he would work with. That was he was very proudful of.
Wow. And what do you do for a living now?
Now, I'm semi-retired. Right now I run a business, California Distributing. I service gas stations and grocery stores here in the San Francisco Bay Area with baseball caps, sunglasses, and other novelties. When you walk into the store here and you see that merchandise, that's a person like myself delivering that. Last year in August at 62, I retired from a company called Cisco Food Service.
Uh-huh.
It's the largest food service company here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Teamster for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I drove a forklift there for about 30 years at Cisco Foods, and I retired there in last year in August from there.
Okay. And one time we were exchanging emails, and you said, well, I go back to San Nicolas, and a lot of people will go to Puerto Vallarta or this big or Cancun, but I come to San Nicolas just to relax. I just like it there. Can you expound upon that?
Well, I believe I just talked to one of my cousins, Nena Frias, and I asked her why she goes back, because she was also born in this country, and we're about the same age, and she goes back. And I asked her why she goes back quite frequently, and she says because her mother still has a house there.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad still has a house there, and my uncle has a house there, Chato Reyes, and my aunt Socorro, and I have a place to stay. So I try to go back every year. And when I talk to family members and that were born here, and they go to Mexico, I always see that they're going to exotic places. I assume that they're very beautiful. I've never been to Cancun. I've never been to Puerto Vallarta. I generally go for about 2 weeks, living the life here in the United States of getting up, fighting the traffic, getting to work, fighting the traffic home, and doing it again the next day. I just like going to San Nicolas because it was just a sense of course, all the memories I've had with my grandparents there, the friendly people, as you mentioned, and it's just chilling. It seems that 2 days, one day feels like 2 days. And I just like to sit there and relax and just enjoy the climate. And maybe I do occasionally I'll go eat at Chapala at the plaza there. And then occasionally I'll drive into Ajijic and have a coffee there and kind of see the American people there and have some pancakes or something there in Ajijic. And so I try to go. We're going again in October, and I just enjoy going to San Nicolas. One of these days when I have more time, then I'll visit those exotic places.
Okay. I do a lot of videos, and I have videos on Chapala, Ajijic, Puerto Vallarta, and a lot of people ask me, like, should we live in a lot of Americans and Canadians are asking me, well, should I live in Chapala? Should I live in Ajijic? And with this video, people are going to be saying, well, should I live in San Nicolas? And what would you tell these people?
Well, I could see by what's happened in a lot of it is going to have to do with economics. I could see what's happened here in San Francisco, and also I've heard it happen in New York with San Francisco's Mission District that was predominantly a Latino community for years. What happened was gentrification, where other people started moving into the neighborhood and buying up homes, and the property values just skyrocketed. The people that were renting there could no longer afford to rent there with the new rates, and now it's almost gone as far as the Latino community there in the Mission, except for the few homeowners that remain there, longtime homeowners. And I understand the same thing happened in Brooklyn, New York, and other cities across the country, where I could see that happening in Ajijic. I've heard some of your interviews where people have mentioned that the Ajijic is getting so expensive that the renters can no longer afford to live there. And other people coming in might be able to find more buck for their dollar, moving to the outskirts. Now, San Nicolas de Ibarra does belong to the county of Chapala. I believe that the municipio de Chapala, which would translate to the county of Chapala, has Chapala, Ajijic, San Nicolas de Ibarra, Santa Cruz de la Soledad, and a couple of other towns that are within the county limits. And I could see people now moving to the outskirts of Chapala, besides Ajijic, and looking towards San Nicolas and some of these other communities to live. Of course, for Americans, some of the things that always come up is safety and so forth. And it's just like Ajijic and Chapala. It's the same answers that you're going to find from those places you'll find in San Nicolas. Now, as far as the difference of an American living in San Nicolas and Ajijic, now I know there is Americans living in San Nicolas. It's just wider spread, so it's not as condensed as Ajijic, where you have a lot of people there. In San Nicolas, it's going to be more of a country feeling to it, and but in the end, I think economics is going to play a big part into it.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for answering all of these great questions and giving us the super information. I'll be putting this interview in full, unedited. What didn't we talk about that you would like to talk about?
Well, I just like to thank you for the opportunity for the interview. And I do watch all your videos, and it's very informative. The last one that you did on real estate was very informative. All the ones that you show at various locations are very well done. As a matter of fact, when we go to Mexico, we got sold on visiting Little Switzerland and we're going to go check that place out for 2 days. And once again, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity of telling people about San Nicolas de Ibarra and to come on down and check it out.
Okay, Raul. Okay. Well, I'm going to shut the interview down, but thank you so much. But I got to say, when we were there, we couldn't get out of San Nicolas. The people wouldn't let us go.
It's a very friendly place.
Oh, what I thought would be like a 1 hour visit ended up being like 5 hours. And everybody was so happy and friendly and giving. It was fabulous. And we met an American there, and she was paying $300 a month for rent. I mean, shoo, wow, that's way cheaper than $4,000 a month, right?
Yes.
Okay, Raul. Well, I'll be in touch, and maybe we'll follow up with another interview down the line.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Adios.
Adios.
Now we're in Vista del Lago. We're going to take a drive through this look around, see what the houses look like, what the roads look like. It's a different environment than San Nicolas, but it's right next door. Quiero auto. Okay. 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 Okay, Lisa. Ah. Whew. Ok, estoy bien.
¿Por aquí o por allá?
Aquí está bien. No salida, no puedes derecho.
¿Por esta misma?
Sí. No. Now we're in the Lake Chapala Country Club golf course area. Here's the golf course. A link to their website is down in the description. You can see pricing for golf rates. It's like 1,200 pesos for 18 holes. But it depends on which day of the week you go. If you go at the right day and the right time, the price goes down to 800 pesos, which is like $40. 1,200 pesos is like $60 for 18 holes of golf. So I guess it depends on how you want to live. You can live in Ajijic. It's going to be expensive. The cost of living in Ajijic for rentals and buying a home is probably almost like living in Columbus, Ohio. I mean, it's no real price rates, but the Canadians and the Americans have come in and driven the prices up. In Chapala, it's real less expensive, but 10 minutes away from both of those two small towns is San Nicolas. And if you buy property there, you're going to pay like 75% less. Your rent is going to be 75% less. San Nicolas is so small they don't even have an OXXO. And OXXO is everywhere, so it's like like in the United States, they say, well, that town only has one stoplight. If you only have one stoplight in the town, you know it's a small town. If you don't have an OXXO in your town, then you know the town is really small. It's very peaceful. They only have one market there, but it's only 10 minutes from Chapala, 10 minutes from Ajijic. You're going to live way cheaper. If you're thinking about buying property, you really want to look at San Nicolas, because the values are only going to go up, because Chapala and Ajijic is going to bleed into this area. And it's almost like Raul's family buying in San Francisco 50, 60 years ago, and now instead of, you know, they were charging rent probably $125 a month. Now they're charging like $4,000 a month for rent. So if you're thinking about moving to Chapala, Ajijic, maybe you want to take a look at San Nicolas de Ibarra. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. We have many more wonderful videos to come.